Welcome back, students. Welcome to the class. Today we will discuss the remaining part of the nitric acid and phosphine. Nitric acid is a very strong oxidizing agent as it gives nascent oxygen. Concentrated nitric acid, it gives you 2NO2, while dilute will give you what? It will give you nitric oxide. So concentrated nitric acid will give you NO2, while dilute will give you NO. In case of nitric acid, 2 moles of HNO3 will give you 1 mole of nascent oxygen, while in case of dilute HNO3, 2 moles of HNO3 will give you 3 atoms of nascent oxygen. Oxidation of nonmetals. Dilute nitric acid has no effect on the nonmetals carbon, sulfur, phosphorus. So remember that if you want to oxidize carbon, sulfur, phosphorus, you have to use only concentrated nitric acid. Dilute nitric acid does not have any effect on the nonmetals like carbon, sulfur, phosphorus. It means that it is different from the metals. In case of metals, what happens? In case of metals, both dilute and concentrated nitric acid are effectively used as oxidizing agent. Look at the first case. In the first case, sulfur oxidized to sulfuric acid. So all the non-metals, they will transform into RIC acids. Like carbon becomes what? It becomes carbonic acid. Phosphorus becomes phosphoric acid. Iodine becomes iodic acid. Okay? And arsenic becomes arsenic acid. So this you have to memorize, that all will transform into oxy acids. What do you mean oxy acids? The center element contains at least one element oxygen bond and hydrogen is lost from one of the oxygen. Are you getting that or not? Sure about that? So this thing you have to keep in your mind. So I am repeating once more. Sulfur becomes sulfuric acid, carbon becomes carbonic acid, phosphorus becomes phosphoric acid, iodine becomes iodic acid, arsenic becomes arsenic acid. So that you have to memorize. Now, but in case of compounds, both dilute and concentrated nitric acid have the ability to oxidize them. Okay? On sulfur, dilute nitric acid has no effect. But on sulfide ion, it has effect. So sulfide ion that is in -2 state transform into sulfur that is in 0 state. Okay? So dilute nitric acid will transform sulfide into colloidal sulfur. Similarly, concentrated nitric acid will transform this into sulfur. Are you getting that or not? Similarly, sulfur dioxide that is in +4 state transform into sulfuric acid that is in +6 state by both dilute nitric acid and concentrated nitric acid. The only difference is that with dilute you will get nitric oxide as the one of the product, and with concentrated nitric acid you will get nitrogen dioxide as one of the product. Sucrose on treatment with nitric acid will give you oxalic acid. Will give you what? Oxalic acid as one of the product. Will give you oxalic acid as one of the product here. Okay? So sucrose is what? Sucrose on oxidation with nitric acid will provide you oxalic acid. Now if you compare nitric acid versus nitrous acid, then remember that nitric acid can only act as an oxidizing agent, while nitrous acid can act as both oxidizing as well as reducing agent. Nitrous acid can be easily reduced to NO, so it acts as an oxidizing agent. Okay? I told you earlier, I think we have discussed that H2S transform into colloidal sulfur with NO. Iodide ion, that is in -1 state, transform into iodine. Sulfur dioxide transform into sulfuric acid. So this you have to memorize. Okay, sure. Now look at the next example, that is the brown ring test. Now in case of brown ring test, the nitrate ion is being reduced to NO, and Fe becomes Fe3 plus. Fe becomes Fe3 plus. So Fe2 plus becomes Fe3 plus. Electron is lost. NO3 plus 5 becomes nitrogen plus 2 by gaining 3 electron. So first nitrate ion transform into nitric oxide. Then this nitric oxide will form a complex with the iron, and it will give you a brown ring at the junction of two liquids. Okay, you have done that in your classroom. The color of the complex is due to the charge transfer of one electron from NO to Fe2 plus ion. So Fe2 plus ion becomes Fe plus ion in this case. Okay, so remember that. So answer is penta aqua nitrosonium iron 1. So I am repeating once more. The color of the complex is due to the charge transfer. The NO becomes NO plus by transferring its one odd electron to the Fe2 plus. So Fe2 plus becomes Fe plus 1, and NO from neutral becomes NO plus carrying unit positive charge. Now the next topic is phosphorus. The phosphorus exists in many allotropic forms, and one of its main three forms is white phosphorus, red phosphorus, and black phosphorus. White is also known as yellow phosphorus, so don't take it otherwise. White phosphorus or yellow phosphorus, it is a most common variety of the phosphorus and is obtained from phosphoric rocks. And when they are reduced with coke and sand in an electric furnace at about very high temperature of 1775 Kelvin, it consists of P4 unit as shown in the figure. Okay, this is the figure shown to you. In that case, 4 phosphorus atoms lie in the corner of a regular tetrahedron. Check it that. So 4 tetrahedron like that exist, and each phosphorus is bonded to other 3 phosphorus atoms. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3. So every is at phosphorus atom is what is bonded to 3 others. Now in this case, this bond angle becomes PP bond becomes 60 degrees. What is that becomes? 60 degree, that you have to understand. Now the main characteristics of white phosphorus are: it is soft, translucent, white waxy solid with garlic-like smell. It can cut with the knife. It melts at 317 and boils at 553 Kelvin. So 317 becomes what? It means that nearby 50 degrees Celsius. It is insoluble in water but soluble in benzene, carbon disulfide, and liquid ammonia. It is very poisonous, and vapors of phosphorus, if continuously held, they may prove very fatal for the health. It glows in darks, that is property known as chemiluminescence, or it is popularly known as phosphorescence. Okay, so actually that reaction is the oxidation of the phosphorus by the oxygen present in the air. That is why phosphorus is kept in water, just to cut off the supply of oxygen in the air. White phosphorus P4 molecules are highly stable even in vapor phase. When heated above 107 Kelvin, then only P4 molecule begin to dissociate into P2 molecule, which have a bond enthalpy of nearly 490 kilojoule per mole. Remember that white phosphorus is the most reactive form, while black phosphorus is the least reactive form of the phosphorus. Chemiluminescence is very important. It is also known as phosphorescence. Okay. Now we know that we are talking about white phosphorus. So white phosphorus is a weak reducing agent and reduces sulfuric acid to sulfur dioxide. So phosphorus here in 0 state, but here it is in plus 5 state. Similarly, sulfur here is in plus 6 state, here it is plus 4 state. So sulfur has gained electron from whom? From phosphorus. And phosphorus has lost electron to whom? To sulfur. Similarly, phosphorus when react with nitric acid will give you phosphoric acid and nitrogen dioxide. So it is very simple, like example to you, that phosphorus when react with nitric acid and sulfuric acid produces SO2 and NO2 and gives phosphoric acid in each case. It also reduces copper, silver and gold salts to their corresponding metals. Look at here, copper in plus 2 state. Okay. Here also copper is also in plus 2 state. But what has happened? Phosphorus has been lost here. Okay. It becomes what? The phosphorus becomes here plus 3. Similarly here, copper, what will happen here? Copper phosphide after reduction will again react with what? Copper sulfate to give you native copper along with phosphoric acid. So in this reaction you have formation of what? Phosphorus acid as well as phosphoric acid, as well as what? Phosphoric acid. I am repeating once more to you. When phosphorus react with copper sulfate, first you will get copper phosphide. That copper phosphide again react with copper sulfate to give you copper and phosphoric acid. So you will have phosphoric acid as well as phosphorus acid. Are you getting that or not? Similarly, phosphorus react with silver to give you native silver. So silver nitrate transform into native silver. Okay. Now that is very, very important. White phosphorus react with 6 moles of chlorine to give you PCl3. It reacts with excess of chlorine to give you PCl5. So remember here that white phosphorus is a translucent white waxy solid. It is poisonous in solvent water but soluble in carbon disulfide. It shows chemiluminescence. Phosphorus, that is most important reaction of phosphorus. Okay. That red phosphorus do not give this reaction, so you should consider as white phosphorus. Okay. So P4, that is white phosphorus. I'm repeating once more. P4, that is white phosphorus, react with NaOH. Okay, to give you phosphine. Here phosphorus, it is minus 3 state. It is in plus 1 state. So you can easily see here what it is in plus 1 state. It is minus 3 state. So P4 reaction, phosphorus reaction with base, is an example of disproportionate reaction. It is an example of disproportionate reaction that we already discussed. This is chemiluminescence or phosphorescence. Okay, which on further oxidation will give you P2O5. Okay, sure about that? Now remember here once more that white phosphorus shows chemiluminescence or phosphorescence. When phosphorus react with oxygen will give you P4O10. Okay, so in a dark room it will like a sunset. because it will glow with a very slow yellowish and reddish flame. Not flame, you can say dim light will be given out from the phosphorus. Okay, you can experience it by performing it. That is why white phosphorus is kept in underwater. Now next is about red phosphorus. Now in the only difference between white and red phosphorus is that here that bond is a covalent bond. Okay, in white phosphorus there is a bond between these two phosphorus also. So that bond does not exist here. Okay, if a bond exists here, also, then it will be a white phosphorus. But now that bond does not exist. This bond does not exist. Since this bond does not exist, so this bond is a covalent bond. That is why red phosphorus is highly stable. Okay, it is obtained by heating white phosphorus at 573 Kelvin in an inert atmosphere for several days. Red phosphorus can be heated under high pressure. Then a series of or phases of black phosphorus can also be obtained. Red phosphorus possesses iron grey luster. It is odorless, non-poisonous and insoluble in water, and also insoluble in carbon disulfide. So that is the big difference. White phosphorus insoluble in water but soluble in carbon disulfide, but red phosphorus is insoluble in both of them. Chemically, red phosphorus is much less reactive and it does not give glow in the dark when react with oxygen because of its unreactive nature. So phosphorus reacts with itself to form allotrope, white and yellow, or that is red phosphorus along with black phosphorus. Phosphorus react with oxygen and hydrogen. With oxygen it will give you P2O5, with hydrogen it will give you PH3, that is called phosphine. Now red phosphorus is obtained by heating white phosphorus at 7373 Kelvin. So 573 Kelvin in an inert atmosphere. It is hard crystalline solid without any smell, non-poisonous, insoluble in water and insoluble in carbon dioxide, denser than white, does not glow in dark. Red phosphorus is very stable and does not ignite itself up to temperature of 543 Kelvin. Therefore does not catch fire easily. Chemically it is less reactive than the white phosphorus we already discussed. Now next is about the black phosphorus. Black phosphorus has two forms, alpha black phosphorus and beta black phosphorus. Alpha black phosphorus is formed by heating red phosphorus in a sealed tube at about 803 Kelvin. You will get alpha phosphorus. It can be sublime in air and has opaque monoclinic or rhombohedral crystals. Beta phosphorus is obtained by heating white phosphorus at about 473 Kelvin and at a very high pressure of between 4000 to 12,000 atmospheric in the presence of inert atmosphere. So white phosphorus will give you beta black phosphorus on heating at 473. Look at here, heating requires much less in beta case. In alpha you got nearly 800 Kelvin, but here it is 473 only, but the only difference being the pressure. It has a double layered crystal structure. Each layer is made up of zigzag chain and each p bond angle is 90 degree, and phosphorus bond distance is 218 picometer. Okay, because of its polymeric nature, its density is very high. Now next is about phosphine. Phosphine is a very important chemical substance which belongs to the group of organophosphorus compounds. The compound was first obtained by Philip Gambarger in the year 1783. He obtained phosphine by supplying heat to phosphorus in an aqueous solution of potassium carbonate. Chemical formula of the compound is PH3. The concentration of this compound varies with the atmospheric. The vital role played by the phosphorus in the biochemical cell is very well known to everyone. So PH3 has trigonal pyramidal molecule. It is not so okay. Actually, pure p orbitals are here participating. Okay, according to the Drago's rule. How would you prepare phosphine? The calcium phosphide is when mixed with water or with dilute HCl. It gives you what? It gives you phosphine. Okay, it gives you what? Phosphine. Remember that. Okay, similarly, the same reaction given by HCl. So water and HCl will give you the same reaction. Okay, are you sure about that? In laboratory, that is very important, disproportionate reaction of phosphorus, that in under basic condition, either with NaOH or with KOH, the white phosphorus, not the red phosphorus, the white phosphorus is heated with concentrated NaOH or KOH to give you phosphine, along with sodium dihydrogen phosphide. So this hypophosphite is very important. Okay, what is the possible structure of this? You can see here. This is sodium dihydrogen hypophosphate. So look at here, the one hydrogen has already been lost here. Okay, these two hydrogens are not acidic in nature, remember that. I am repeating once more, this reaction is very important. I am repeating once more to you, this reaction is very important, so memorize it. What is that reaction? Phosphorus react with either NaOH or KOH and gives you phosphine and dihydrogen hypophosphite ion and dihydrogen hypophosphate. Now the physical and chemical properties of phosphine: it is a colorless gas having a rotten fish smell, highly poisonous gas. It is sparingly soluble in water but highly soluble in organic solvent. It acts as a Lewis acid because it has the availability of one lone pair. Okay, so when it react with, everyone knows that PH3 when react with HI will you give what? Phosphine iodide. Okay, under normal condition it is non-combustible gas, but when heated it can catch fire. To give you what? Phosphine on oxidation will give you phosphoric acid. Okay, in the presence of oxidizing agent it can explode violently, means blast can occur here. In this case, exploding nature is high if disclosed. Why? If it is exposed to what? Oxidizing agent. Highly dissolution property in certain solvent, but rather sparingly soluble in water. Extremely noxious gas. According to chemical safety, phosphine possesses the characteristics to cause high environmental damages, act as a Lewis base, and its lone pair is related to the reaction like to the hydrogen iodide. Accurately toxic and highly flammable. Smells more like a spoiled fish or clove of garlic. When in contact with even minimal amount of phosphine, it can trigger problems such as dizziness, jaundice, lost bowels, kidney and liver damages, inflammation of nasal cavity, fatigue, regurgitating, cerebrum pain, convulsiveness, coma, shock, and more problems can be seen when exposed to the phosphine for a long period of time. Are you sure about that? The use of phosphine is what? According to use of phosphine, there are very few important roles that PH3 in the different area of work. Since it is very highly spontaneous in the combustion, so it is useful as a home signal. Plastic industries make good use of phosphine, and phosphine is also known as dopant, means substance useful to form certain type of electrical component. In all these three cases, what you are observing that phosphorus is losing its lone pair to the H plus of the acid to give you phosphonium ion. So in all the four cases, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see here phosphorus is losing one lone pair to the H plus. Now PH3 used in the preparing of the home signals, we just know that a mixture of calcium carbide and calcium phosphides are taken in a vessel. The hole is made in it and the vessel is thrown into the seawater. With reaction with water, they spontaneously catch fire. Why? Because phosphine is flammable gas, it catches fire in the air, and as soon as it produces what? It produces fire, calcium carbide also starts to burning. Okay, because it will give you acetylene. That acetylene is highly combustible gas, so it light up the acetylene, so it act as a home signals to the approaching ships in case of a crisis. Nowadays, you know that GPS is very well known fact, so all these techniques are techniques of the past.